Next, we have Miguel Robles, co-founder and project director of BioSafe Alliance. Many years a social activist, Robles serves as lead organizer for the annual conference Justice Begins with Seeds, building cross-sector, multi-level, and inter-ethnic alliances of educational outreach on GMOs. He served as field organizer for Yes on Proposition 37 in Spanish communities. Robles hosted a Spanish commercial radio education program on issues such as GMOs. Miguel will introduce some other speakers. Is that right, Miguel? Miguel is here. Let's hear from Miguel. Miguel, welcome.
Hi, everyone. You know, it's very intimidating to be here when you don't speak very well English. And it's more intimidating to be here to try to take attention from these people who is behind this building. But I think that it's more intimidating to live in this environment polluted by pesticides, eating all this shit that they are selling to us. But it's worse that we see a lot of people who are aware of it and they don't do anything. You know, I went last October to Seattle. They invited me to speak, and I was thinking that I was going to speak to Latinos, to Spanish speakers. And when I got there, I realized that all the meetings were in English. So I was very intimidated, but at the same time was a really good experience, because I realized, I found out what was the problem and why we lost in California and why we were going to lose in Seattle or in Washington State. And what happened is that they invited me to a place called El Centro de la Raza. When I went there, I was thinking that I was going to speak to day laborers, to mothers who were coming for food to these agencies. And I was there with 50 people, and all of them were like directors of different programs, working for the city, for different non-profits, and it was very diverse. There were African Americans, white, Latinos, and most of them went to university. They have PhDs, they have master's degrees. And when I asked them, do you know what GMO means? From 60 people, out of 60 people, maybe 5 people raised their hands. 30 people didn't know. So for me, it's very, very, very significant how we have this lack of education, but massive education. So what we have been doing the past 2 years is that we have been talking in commercial radio stations here in California in Spanish. And last year we have 61% in support for Proposition 37 from Latinos. So that was not an accident. It has been a very long job. And I think the problem with some of the people who has been managing these campaigns is that they are very focused at the end of the campaign to pay TV and TV ads. All these millions of dollars goes to TV. So, but there is no a long-term campaign, educational campaign, and I think that is what we need. It's what we need, and it's what we all have to become a leaders, as somebody else was saying before. And we have to think not just about our health, but about the multiple implications of this stuff, no? And since you are talking with someone who just got a new shirt, it's GMO. It's GMO cotton. 250,000 farmers have killed themselves in India. And they can say that it's coming from China, but the cotton is coming from India. No? When somebody's drinking a soda, this corn syrup is GMO corn. We're drinking, if you drink soda, you're drinking GMO corn. So there are a lot of different implications, and also there is a global movement that we have to pay attention to. And here in America, I mean the continent, because America is a continent, not just the United States, we have to think what's happening now. What is the coolest country in America? You know? It's Uruguay. Their president is traveling in planes with the other passengers. He didn't bring bodyguards. You can visit him at his house, and he's sweeping the floor and, you know, growing his own food. And he just legalized marijuana, and he just passed a law to level GMO this week. That's the coolest president in America. In Mexico, what happened? We have the moratorium on GMO in any kind of crop, commercial, pilot, or experimental. And we are now struggling to raise funds to sustain the next 2 years this legal struggle against the Mexican government and against Monsanto. Last December, during the 24th of December of 23, we have some problems, but we try to act quickly, and still the moratorium is there. They confirmed the moratorium. But it's something very significant because Mexicans eat corn in everything. And they raised this class action lawsuit against the government because there are a lot of, it's very dangerous if they start growing corn commercially, because they can contaminate the other varieties of corn. We have about 700 varieties of corn in Mexico, but these 700 varieties of corn are for 700 varieties of meals. If we lost these varieties, we lost our meals. So that is the potential problem that we can face in Mexico, and it's why this just imposed a moratorium in GMO, for the precautionary principle or something like that. So thank you very much for being here. And I wonder if we can, maybe in the next 2 months, if we can be very well organized in California, we can raise maybe 200,000 signatures, and we can bring them in 2 months if they are not supporting this bill. Maybe we can bring them in 2 months, or in 1 month, 100,000 signatures, and we can go to each of these offices of senators, of legislators, and maybe they can feel more pressure to support this. I don't know. We have to brainstorm, each of us, and each of us has different ideas, and we can start our own campaigns. For us, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we started Biosafety Alliance. We were only 2 people, and we have organized conferences. We have a program in urban farming. We have an educational radio program. We have been doing a lot of stuff, along with Pam Larry, with Pesticide Action Network, Center for Food Safety, Food and Water Watch. And I think you yourself, you can start your own organization, your own campaign with your own people in schools, in your house. You can talk about India, you can talk about what's going on in Poland with the bees, In Mexico, they banned the pesticides in GMO soy because the colony collapse disorder. So we can start our campaigns everywhere, and we just have to become more proactive. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miguel. Shit, I thought his English was pretty good.